Good morning. It is Monday morning, October 2nd, 2023, and this is Monday Morning Muster. Hope you're having a good morning. You know, I got to spend a little bit of time in some raw nature this weekend, and there is a big difference between raw nature and the concrete jungle, so to speak, that a lot of us, live in and work in. And we were created in the image and likeness of God, so naturally, we want to be like our Father, right? So if we're created to be like Him in His image and His likeness, then we create stuff too. And men and women over the years have had great technological, industrial design, electrical, civil engineering, all kinds of different advances in medical and the arts and all kinds of stuff that we have created because we were created in the image and likeness of God. Now, with that being said, in all of our creating, think about something like the Tower of Babel. Look that story up. Where we were creating and creating and creating to the point of where God said, there's nothing that they can't do. So he confounded our language. Because we were really, at the Tower of Babel, we were creating ourselves and our designs and our own image and our own likeness. And we were basically creating, a replacement for God, if you really think about it. And no flesh will glory in His presence. That's what the Word says. That's my interpretation of the Tower of Babel issue. There's many more different ways of looking at that and applying it to life. But we, in the sense, were in our own conceit creating something basically with God-like capacity, and God said, nope, not going to do it. No flesh will glory in my presence. I am God alone, and beside me there is no other. I am that I am, right? So the difference is, kind of like raw nature. Raw nature is just amazing. The origin of all raw nature, and everything that was created, us included, came out of God saying, let there be light, let there be the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air, and let there be the heavens above the earth, and let there be the waters, and let there be all of these different things. God spoke those things into existence and spoke us and let us create man in our own image and in our own likeness. And so out of the dust of the earth, out of the raw nature, He created us and breathed into us the breath of life. And we have that creative capacity to create things in our own lives. Now, if we understand and harness that power that is resonant within us, if we lock into it and actually harness that and have it submitted to biblical principles, then we can darn near do almost anything on this earth. I mean, look at it. They made fun of the Wright brothers for, oh, there's no way you'll ever do that. But then they all gathered around as they took flight and celebrated that accomplishment. Edison, I believe it was Edison, the light bulb, 10,000 or something ways or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but failure after failure after failure after failure. And then thousands of times later, boom, it worked. And the rest is history. It's almost impossible to go anywhere on earth unless you're in raw nature, like, middle of nowhere stuff, and not see, some light somewhere that somebody's turned on with electricity. So we can do things that are pretty phenomenal. And I think we get wrapped up in ourselves so much that we stress ourselves out because we try to make the things that we create perfect. While we can do that, so I think perfection is necessary when it comes to nuclear science. You better perfectly execute whatever it is that you're doing around that stuff. Otherwise, it's a major disaster, tragic disaster. Electricity. There's some known things in electricity. You better perfectly execute against those known laws and rules. Otherwise, you're going to fry yourself or fry the circuits or catch something on fire or die, or make it so that someone else gets hurt or worse. So yes, you better perfectly execute around some things. And at the same time, if you go out in raw nature is kind of like, it's like utterly imperfect. I mean, if you look at it, there's no straight lines in any of it. Like, there's no straight lines in any of raw nature. But yet, that is what God created. And it is perfectly doing what it is supposed to do. Think about the water cycle, seed time, plants dying and dropping their seeds into the ground, and the way that animals interact and create this ecological experience that just is in harmony. There's no straight lines there. And here we are building our concrete jungles and everything, getting stressed out beyond all imagination. And we have to go out into raw nature to get rid of that stress. Think about that. It's like, let's go hunting, let's go fishing, let's go camping. All that kind of stuff is out in raw nature, most of it. And it's kind of funny that, in the height and the perfection of all of our accomplishments in design and technology and advancement and, all these different things in our concrete jungles and in places that we live, all packed together like sardines, we have to go to raw nature, which is no straight lines whatsoever, to get rid of the stress associated with why we can't make everything perfect. And I think, the Word of God is so helpful to us. I believe it's in the New Testament. I think it's in the Corinthians, one of those books, where he says, God is in all things, and by him all things consist. Think about that. And think about in the Psalms where David said, if I ascend to the heights of the heavens, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, thou art there. Basically saying, I can't go anywhere ever and escape you. And think about raw nature. There's just some of it is breathtaking. Just absolutely, you can't even fathom, like, how did that get there? And if you stay in it long enough, it's amazing how the stress just melts away. And then you come back to your concrete jungle and it's like, okay, right? And you're better equipped to handle the man-made stress, the unhealthy stresses that we all create in our lives. So just think about that for a second. I mentioned the Tower of Babel, and it's almost like these cities and things that we build and these, look, I'm big time into supportive of business and business owners and business leaders and different things like that. I really, that's my job. That's my passion. I believe I think, as corny as it may sound, I think I'm called to do it. I think I'm called to help business owners get really clear so that they can operate their businesses in a way that they can scale their life and create extra margin in their life so they can go out into raw nature and take their family and do cool stuff and, have systems in place that business goes on and is successful. And at the same time, we can get so caught up in trying to create the perfect business, trying to create the perfect career, trying to create the perfect, even trying to create the perfect relationships with other people, family, friends, associates, and acquaintances. and then trying to, create the perfect yard, and trying to, buy the perfect car, and, trying to manage the perfect bank account, and all of the other stuff that we try to do that's perfect. And at the end of the day, we're so daggone tired that we got to go escape our perfect concrete jungles and perfect this and perfect that to go out into imperfect nature to make sense of life again. Think about that. Maybe that's one of those funny, sick sense of humor things that God has, where he's like, as much as I created them to be like me, they go out and they try to create something, stress themselves out so bad that they got to go back into the origin story of creation and see raw nature to, piece together some sensibilities and some common sense, and take yourself more lightly, and think, give God the credit that is due his name. Look at the creation. Look at the sunset, the sunrise, the, fish in a river, mountains, pine trees, just, you know what? We got to take ourselves a little bit less seriously, and just realize, look, as perfect as we think we can make stuff, we're still a redeemed bag of bones that was mired in sin, still has this indwelling sin. We were born in sin and shapen in iniquity. And we're not ever going to be perfect until the day of Jesus Christ, when he shows up and makes us perfect. So hopefully this is a blessing to you. Good morning, Monday Morning Muster, October 2nd, 2023. Get out there and make it happen. And remember, don't take yourself too seriously, because you're going to stress yourself out so bad that you're going to want to go out into raw nature to let God take the stress out of your life. And then maybe that's what you need. Give it to God. Give it your best effort. Be profitable with your time. I'm talking to myself here. I'm talking to myself. I'm talking these words out loud to myself because it helps me. I'm not some special high and mighty dude trying to tell people how to do this or do that. But if I want to have an extraordinary quality of life, I got to realize who the author and the finisher of my life are. God is, not me. There's some effort involved in me showing up in his presence and letting him work on me and learning about him by reading his word. But I'm not the finisher. I'm not the author. He is. He's the author and the finisher of my faith. He's responsible for perfecting me unto the day of Jesus Christ. Yes, I must work out my own salvation with fear and trembling. And at the same time, he's still the author and the finisher. Don't forget that. Monday Morning Muster. Make it a great day, folks. We'll talk again soon.